is up, dudes, dudettes, and all the beautiful people of the interwebs? Bloody Nux here, aka the Gothic Gamer of LV1 Gaming, back with another wonderful review, guys. We have the review for Blossom Tales 2, and like last time here, I am reading the reviews from Akumu Matata, who had a chance to sit down and play this game. So she wanted to share her words with you, so I'm here to read all that good stuff. So when you hear what's next, it's all her thoughts. So with that being said, if y'all are ready, let's go ahead and jump right in here with her review. When dealing with a rowdy group of kids, sometimes we don't always know how to get them to relax, and sometimes we know exactly what to do. And that's what happens in Blossom Tales 2, The Minotaur Prince. Our story starts with our wonderful grandpa choosing to sit down and tell a wonderful campfire story here to his young grandchildren, Lily and Chrys. And the story actually is set several hundred years after the original Blossom Tales, The Sleeping King. The kids are excited as not only is Lily in it again, but so is Chrys. It actually starts on the day of the Minotaur Moon Festival 500 years after the original game. Our young children wake on the morning of the Minotaur Moon Festival to have fun with the activities around town, and they have to collect coins to be able to join in the tournament. After doing a little bit of exploring and doing a little bit of the activities here for the festival, both Chrys and Lily gather the 5 moon coins they need to enter the competition. And after Lily goes through the tournament and fighting several other combatants, she comes up against Chrys. And during her fight with Chrys actually interrupts the story to cheat, and this actually upsets Lily. And upon cheating, she wishes that the Minotaur King would take him away. And upon hearing her words, the king appears to do just that. He sends Chrys far away, saying that he's giving her exactly what he wants. And in that moment, Lily feels horrible about the things that she's done, only for the Minotaur King to knock her out and everyone else in the festival. And this is actually just where the start of our story opens up, setting Lily on a journey of redemption and atonement to save her little brother, all to make her family whole once again and not upset her grandma. And what's so enticing about the story is that it embraces the campiness of being a story, but it also holds a lot of references and inspiration. And the story itself is very much inspired by the classic Labyrinth, where the older sister wishes her younger brother away, but then goes on a journey to find him. And on the journey, learns to appreciate what she has and learns a little bit more about herself. There's even other references to movies like The Princess Bride. What makes the story so much more entertaining and fun is the fact that it's actually a story that's being told, and the kids tend to interrupt a lot. It allows the chance to change the story a lot by either changing the encounters and enemies that Lily may fight on her quest, or how she would approach a scenario that was offered up here. It makes the story feel a lot more fun and personal because it's almost like a choose your own adventure. And because it's a choose your own adventure, it makes it just so much more endearing with the way that you're able to play the game. Now for the visuals. The visual art style in the game is very much reminiscent of classic retro style games, specifically 64-bit inspired ones, almost looking like an old school Legend of Zelda style game with its color and its top-down view. However, while it's inspired, the characters and a lot of the art is all its own. While it's very reminiscent of those retro style, 80s style, 8-bits. While the game is very old school looking and takes a lot of inspiration from that 64-bit era of gaming, all the characters are very unique and wonderfully designed. And you can see that very early on with the design of the Minotaur King. The Minotaur King is very large and imposing, while also having this sense of awe and wonder about him. Not to mention that each of the characters themselves has something that makes them really stand out, from Lily's design to even Chrys's, and that's before going into a lot of the enemies and other NPCs that you meet, like Grandma or Grandpa, or even the Witch. And of course, a lot of the other characters that you meet along the way. Not to mention that not only are the characters themselves really wonderful, so are the environments. They're absolutely stunning. From vibrant greens of the forest to the soft blues of the sea and the beach, when you start making it that way, everything really just pops with this brand new look while also still being very much retro. The 64-bit art is just one that is absolutely timeless, and when done properly and well crafted like this, it can give any new age game that nostalgic feel while still being very modern. And that essence is absolutely on display here. It's familiar and fun, yet new and breathtaking at the same time. Next up, we have the audio. And for the audio in the game, is rather tame in its approach. It utilizes a lot of chiptunes and a lot of that classic 8-bit style music, and that is not bad by any means. And what I mean by that is that the music actually helps to really sell that nostalgic feel. It changes the way and plays when you go into different towns. There's the more upbeat sound when you're in your hometown of Blossomdale, and everything is nice and cheery. And then when you go to the town of Anchortown, it's more melodic, kind of like a sea shanty. It has a little bit more of a lower feel, a little bit more softer. It's not as up sounding. And along with that, there's also a lot of other sounds that are just reminiscent of old titles and take a lot of inspiration, such as the sounds from collecting coins or to fighting enemies. Even the sounds in the menu are very retro inspired with the way that you go around. And I think one of my favorite things was the fact that there's even a unique sound whenever you play, that plays whenever you get in a permanent item. Very much like Zelda. Everyone knows that iconic da 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 da. And there's very much a sound similar to that when you acquire any items that you need on your travel, whether it's equipment that you'll be utilizing in dungeons or for fighting, or even if it's just something that you need to help improve yourself, such as heart pieces or even anything like a bottle. The audio in the game is simply a nice, tame, and nostalgic feel that's very modern at the same time. It doesn't try to go overboard with that classic feel while also not abandoning too much of a more modern take. It's very well balanced in a lot of the way that they approach the sound design from both the musical aspect as well as the actual sounds within the game or everything else. And lastly, here we have the gameplay. Now, for the gameplay, if you heard me reference Zelda a lot, that's because there's very much a lot of love for that game here on display. But just because there's a lot of love for it and a lot of inspiration doesn't mean that Blossom Tales is just a Zelda clone. There's a lot of things that make it very unique. That old school dungeon crawler style gameplay is very much at a core that we've seen in games that were built like Link to the Past. However, one of the things that makes Blossom Tales very much its own story and it's very much its own identity is the fact that it is being told as a story. It's a game that's playing out as a story around a campfire. But along with that is it's very much a choose your own adventure. As you play throughout the game, there are opportunities where you're going to be presented with choices. And some of the times it's either the kids interrupting grandpa and throwing their own, oh, we should do this or we should do that, and him just kind of be like, okay, well, I guess we can. One specific fight is the fact that during the tournament, early on in the game, you get to choose the enemies that you fight in the tournament before you fight Chrys. Or even at one point, you get to choose whether you want to fight toads or honey badgers, or whether or not to excitedly throw a rock into a curious pool of water or to be cautious. While the kids are listening to the story, they're going to continually make comments throughout the story. And what also makes it stand out a lot more is that it's very much a lot of fourth wall breaking, because the kids are always going to make comments about it, and their grandpa, the storyteller, will sometimes make comments too and allow you to either pick choices or they'll just make a comment on the story itself and have a good laugh, and that really helps it to stand out as something very different. Along with that, there's a lot of side quests for the player to do to help with villagers, so you may get asked to find weird things or go to find another villager somewhere, or asked to bring them back an item. Like there's one particular spot where you're asked to meet a goblin who wants some nom nom juice, and it turns out that the nom nom juice is actually just a health potion that you have to make with the witch, who apparently doesn't like him because he ate her cat. And what's even funnier is that while you're making this potion for her, she's treating it as if you signed up for an alchemy class that you didn't even know about. So it's those little things that really help to give the dialogue and the interactions and the story a lot more brevity and make it a lot more lighthearted and fun. And of course, at the heart of the game, you have the dungeon crawling fun. So you're going to be going into dungeons, finding new equipment, doing a lot of puzzles. It's one part puzzle, one part new equipment, one part dungeon, and all parts funny. The gameplay really locks in that retro feel that it's trying to capture, while also just having a lot of fun with it. So that way it doesn't feel like it's something that's just tried and true. It's feeling like it's actually something unique in its own way. Blossom Tales 2 is such a fun nostalgia trip for lovers of that old school 80s retro gaming feel, from its cute character designs and its vibrant colors to its chiptune sounds and everything else. Everything is just so much fun within the game. Not to mention that the game itself is a story being told, and that the dialogue is again just entertaining and it had me giggling throughout most of it. Blossom Tales 2, The Minotaur Prince, has a lot of heart and it's endearing in all the right ways. And it's currently out now, and you can get it both on Nintendo Switch, and you can also check it out on Steam. Alright guys, there is Akumu's wonderful thoughts, and we hope that you enjoyed her review of Blossom Tales 2 here. And we want to give a big, wonderful shout out to the team for providing a code for the game for her to play it. And you already know that if you enjoyed what you did, make sure you hit that follow, like, and subscribe button down here to the channel and check out what other things we have. As well as make sure you go and check out lv1gaming.com, where you can get all your wonderful news and reviews for all things gaming and lifestyle here on the channel. As well as we have wonderful things to come up. So again, if you want to, check out all the links down below as well. Until next time guys, we'll see you all then. And remember, you can always get your start here at level 1.